Welcome to Sustainable Futures with Daniela Bas on the first and the third Saturday every month at 10 a.m. Czech time. Join me for in-depth conversations, exclusive interviews and strategic insights with industry leaders, policymakers and innovators shaping our future. We'll explore how integrating social fairness enhances business and impacts sectors like fashion, food, tech, tourism, sports, and more towards a sustainable social change. Every organization gets stronger by challenging itself, so do we. I know it from my own life experience as a woman with a disability who understands the power of resilience, communication, and of thinking out of the box, and as a female executive leader at global level on social sustainability and inclusion. Be inspired, learn, and gain insights. Tune in, think different, and act with purpose. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are. Today we're going to talk about corporate social responsibility, and I have the author of a bestseller of a book called, on corporate responsibility in the digital age, which deals with this very current important topic. So today with us we have Ivri Verbin. He is also the founder of Good Vision. He has advised private and public companies on governance, ethics, and sustainability since the year 2002, I believe to recall. And with the past roles advising Shimon Peres, Verbin is a leader in the field of, as I said, corporate social responsibility, a topic very dear to me. And his expertise spans from reporting, from on CSR, environmental impact, and community development involvement. So you see, all of this helps to develop, hopefully, not only business and profit, but also some good for the society. And his work has shaped corporate social responsibility, CSR, standards in the corporate world. Good morning. Hello there.
Good morning, and happy to be here.
Okay, so listen, let's start about thinking on the topic of digital age, because I think this topic is of interest at global level to promote both equity if we use technology properly. Otherwise, it can increase the digital divide. And yet, as I said, it can also be a reason to promote or inequalities among people and countries or not. So I myself was honored actually to be invited as a speaker to a recent event organized by UNITAR, which is an office of the United Nations. It was an official event of the United Nations to support the Summit of the Future. And one of the main areas discussed is the digital area we're living in. So my focus on that speech was a sustainability, inclusion, and sport as an enabler of development and peace. But my question to you, Irvin, is, and this is a special question. Now, a few years ago, you were so kind to give me as a gift your book entitled Corporate Responsibility in the Digital Age, a practitioner roadmap for corporate responsibility in this age. So, indeed, corporate social sustainability has evolved from ad hoc philanthropy, in my view, to a core part of business strategy. And it is deeply embedded in operational practices, risk management, and also value creation, I would say. So it is now seen as an essential for long-term success, with companies that are adopting comprehensive strategies to balance, as I said, environmental, social, and economic objectives that are in the concept of sustainability. So the focus is increasingly on creating systemic change and contributing to a more sustainable future. What is your view?
Uh, well, I think that maybe for the audience, let's just reframe the ecosystem. When we talk
Yes.
about corporate responsibility, first of all, it's a management approach. We are not speaking about it's a business practice and a management approach that take into consideration different stakeholders in the decision making of the corporate itself. And the idea is to create a win-win situation, exactly as you said. Not we are not perceived as like tree huggers, but business people that understand that it's important to pay attention to the stakeholders' expectations, and it will create a business dividend in the medium in the long term. Maybe we'll speak about it later, but reputation on one end, risk management on the other, the ability to attract good people and to retain them, and many other business dividends, including, by the way, in recent years, raising capital because you have a lot of. So we are in the business world. We see that there are exactly as you said. There is an evolution in the last, I would say, 2 decades, but in the last decade specifically, and then maybe in the last 3-4 years, even more intensively. By the way, somehow connected also to American and European politics, because regulation is you always have the carrot and the stick. So we spoke about the carrots, but you also have the stick of the regulation. Um, they push the companies to create a more transparent framework for the performance of the companies, but they also put a very, let's say, more measurable and more quantitative way of doing the things. While in the past, not very long ago, it was a lot of qualitatives. We do good, we do this, but more slogans and less metrics.
Mm-hmm.
And we have about 200 indicators, KPIs, that shape the ecosystem of corporate responsibilities. And as you said, exactly, it's very wide, from environmental, carbon footprint, recycling, circular economy, to ethics, corporate governance, diversity and inclusion, community engagement, responsible supply chain, and many, many other indicators. So it's a huge topic. And we see more and more companies understand that in order to have a USP in the market, specifically those companies who work internationally and globally or are publicly traded, they see that they must internalize and implement CR or CSR or sustainability practices in its work. Otherwise, they will lose points from different perspectives. I mean, so this is the ecosystem. Companies are really moving forward, specifically in Europe, because of very, very robust, tough regulation, I would say. It's called CSRD these days, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, that each member state in the EU need to have its own legislation. But once you have regulation, you cannot consider it anymore. You must implement it. And Europe is also influencing the rest of the world. The American also, specifically during democratic administration, push forward mainly on the environmental, renewable energy stuff. Sometimes they give budgets and they actually generate and new movement, new dynamics into more and more companies to invest in renewable energy and in the sustainability as a whole. But
Ala.
I would just want to add, maybe we go to the next question, that
Mm-hmm.
you see that it's not very easy to implement from different reasons. Sometimes the small companies tackle some, they don't have the resources to create a new framework or new people to implement it. And but in the end of the day, if you ask me, it's and really, before we speak about standards and regulation, it's good management. Good management, because a good manager need to take care for his employees, for his suppliers, for his customers, for the community, and for the environment. It's simply good management. Now, after saying this, let's move on with the discussion.
No, it's very important. Recently, I had a conversation with a person who is dealing with the private sector and in the area of finance, and and the conversation was about companies that have to make profit, and sometimes talking about social sustainability or corporate social responsibilities, etc. It's a gospel, but not necessarily then it brings the profit to high profits to the company, or the company talks about it, as I said, just because it's a gospel. You have to, um, unless the company decides to invest more in some of the practices you just mentioned, but then probably the profit is reduced and therefore pensions are reduced. And I was listening to this other way of looking at it. And I wonder if you think that this is really the impact that applying corporate social responsibility more in the way you just shared with us indeed has an impact also on less profit and less pension when you retire.
Now you speak about on the investments, but I think that as I indicated before, it's since it's a good management, so you'll get the dividends out of it. The only thing you not always get it immediately, so it's like an investment of the company in building infrastructure for the future.
Mm.
And I think that there is the famous book by Collins, Built to Last. It's about these uh, great companies that survived more than 100 years. And when you decode it backwards, you see in most of the times that they have really strong values and really strong uh, policy as a skeleton for its performance. So sometimes you invest in the short term, but in the end of the day, you get the dividend later. You get the dividend from the investors. By the way, today even from the bankers. When you get as a big company, you go to get credit for infrastructure projects, etc. More and more central banks ask their retail banks to get environmental and social clearance from the clients, simply because they understand that if we are going to a low carbon economy as a humanity, so we want to give our money to companies that will, be happy in this low carbon economy and not will
Hmm.
find themselves in under litigation or under, conflict all the time. This also because the world become more transparent, more open because of social networks and technology. So everything become faster and more open. So you cannot hide anymore. Decades ago, I guess that the business culture was that we will do what we will do and we'll tell what we can tell,
Hmm.
and you don't ask, and we can move on as business as usual with our ways of only doing profits now. But today, when I think the awareness of the CEOs that even before, I believe everybody is good people, but even before the DNA of the CEO to get more ROI or more return on the investment, simply to get good business done. And as a risk management, you cannot do wrong things, because if you do wrong things, one day or another, people will find out about it and the punishment will be much bigger. So what we say usually to companies is, let's do it at your own proactiveness, at your own time. It will be easier and cheaper than once you get the stick of the public or the stick of the regulator. And you also can engage your people, because today, the millennials and the young people, they really want to work in companies that have a good strong culture.
Yes.
They don't want to work in a company even if they get $1,000 more in the salary, but this company is polluting or is corrupted or etc., etc. So it's very important, both internally and externally. Um, and I think that the best way is to do is, to do it gradually. First, we always recommend to start from a materiality assessment to see where is your impact. What Because it's not the same a bank to a tech company to a chemical company. Each one has different aspects they need to manage as a strong, on the Pareto, as the more meaningful aspect of impact. Once you understand your material aspects of your work. Of course, by the way, one of the ways to do it is through a dialogue. Dialogue is very important, to do a dialogue with your stakeholders in order to understand what is the expectation of a stakeholder from your company. It can be getting more knowledge from the company, or more access to the company, or many other things. We are not saying it's a democracy that each one that raises its hand and put something on the Facebook, the company need to change. But at least we want the manager to feel or to be able to listen. Once you listen, and if you are a rational manager and you are a good person, at least you can consider it in your decision making. Um, and it's true, it is like a generation gap. Sometimes even me are too old for this, but the young people really growing into this culture, and they are uh, more natural to them. My
Hmm.
children at the kindergarten, they learn about compost and recycling, etc. We didn't
Yes.
learn about it. So once they come to the workforce and they become employees, they also care about these issues, and they will come with their demands or requirements or expectations from the employees. So once we do going back to the process, you do the gap analysis and the stakeholder dialogue and the materiality assessment, so you can now start gradually to say, okay, nobody will expect you as a company to come from a 0 to 100 in sustainability in 1 year. But the investors and the regulators, they really, they want to know that you identify the issues, that you understand the process you need to take, that you will have a measurable goals in the coming. We prefer 5 to 10 years and not 50 years, because sometimes there was a fashion until like 5 10 years ago that people company said by 2050, by 2060 we'll do that and that, but it's not. We call it, the smart goals, that it should be specific and measurable, and 5 to 10 years it's relevant, so you can put milestones into the process. And the whole ecosystem asks the companies today, even the clients, specifically if you're a supplier to a big company, the big company will ask you one, two, three, four, and they audit. Sometimes they audit you because it's also a risk for them. The supply chain become more and more traceable these days and become more and more transparent. Not to mention, the sweatshops issues in the Far East, or Nike, or other, companies that fail. They lose profit either by the stock exchange when their stock went down, or by reputations that went down. So they understand they need not only to say we are okay, but also to make sure and to make the right things on human rights, on working conditions. It's very easy, because today every employee in Thailand can take a cellular, take a picture, and
Hmm.
after 5 minutes, the rest of the world will know if there was something wrong on the in the factory. So again, we try to put it as a win-win. Of course, you need to have to see as a manager the big picture and the long term, and not to see. If you think only about this quarter of the performance, probably it will be difficult to justify it only financially. But if you think about few years down the road, it's a good investment. Um, and I guess also for smaller companies, maybe they cannot put down all the the compliance with the international standards, and to have people who taking care for it, but at least they can get the principles of sustainability, or the principles of Yeah.
So
You know,
Ivri,
if I have a small mom and pops, grocery store, I can be more I can be honest to my employees and to the clients. I can trying not to throw my garbage out in the where it's not should not be, and I can donate if I have bread in the weekend to the old lady who come and collect, the poor old lady of the neighborhood. So I'm not expecting this company, small companies, to do, a magnificent or something on a magnitude, but the principles can be implemented.
so you just gave me an idea of how, be that the company is big or small, can overcome some challenges by integrating social sustainability into their internal governance policies, even though it's a small shop, right? As you just said, the bread in the evening, etc., etc., the garbage taken care of, doing it. Sharing it properly in different baskets, whatever the system is in that country. So, how does good vision help uh, big or small companies to overcome some of the obstacles you mentioned? You already gave some examples, but I would like to know your company, Good Vision, how you help to overcome some of these obstacles.
So again, what first of all is to understand also the ecosystem. We are doing like a benchmark to the company, telling okay, nobody want to be pioneer in a way that it's with very early adopter. They want to see that they're on a comfort zone. So you bring for them the relevant benchmark, and then after you, as I just shared with you, after you do the materiality assessment, I push the management of the company uh, to choose 5 to 10 subjects. You cannot deal with 200. 5 to 10 subjects that are important and that they have an impact on the society or on the
Mm.
environment. Once you pick it and you trying to understand your impact, you need to put goals. Okay, you need to put it into the work plan of the company. Very important, by the way, is also to see how you integrate it into the compensations of the manager, even if not only financial compensation, which is more difficult, but even recognition. Because
Yeah.
let's say you want to, I don't know, to increase the amount of women in managerial positions or people with disabilities. You cannot stay only in slogans. You need to put, say, okay, we have
Mm.
now 20%. In 2 years, we want to come to 30%. But the department or the divisions that will do it, they will get an award from the CEO, or they will get even, 1% on their bonus will be depend on this. We see it's very important to connect it because in the end of the day, the people that are not leading the companies, but that are only working in the company, they ask themselves, what is it for me? Okay, what
Yes.
this is an obstacle when you make a cultural change, and it's not a bad idea to give them some kind of carrots, sometimes of some kind of recognition or
Yes.
even competition between the different division, who is doing
Hmm.
it better. Because in the end of the day, we are human beings. We have our own psychological motivations. Not everybody share the same picture of what need to be invested. And if you're really a leadership of a company that want to move forward, you need to put the framework that will allow the people to follow you in implementing, because it's sometimes it's like nobody want new changes, to move the cheese. They want to stay where in the comfort zone, and some of the things are difficult for to implementation. It's not, as you know, it's not always very easy to come to a new way of managing your department. Okay, if you
Yes,
want,
changing culture and mindset is always very complicated because that implies also changing behavior. It can be a long process.
I think by the way that let's say we have also external process or things that happened that move it forward. For example, the COVID, as COVID was really pushing forward a very not democratic, but more transparent, less distance working culture. When you see your employees in the Zoom, when you have as a manager the idea that people can work from home, so work-life balance become more popular. That you need to take more consideration, even for business continuity, on the health of your employees and your suppliers, because if they will not be health and they will not produce for you the services and the product. So it's created like a change in the workplace that research said like they took 10 years into 1 year. So it speed up a natural evolution into something very condensed and accelerate the process. Now, once you do it, even if you don't do it because of the only the the right reasons, but we call it sometimes fake it until you make it. When the company is
Yes.
starting to do it something, even for the not the perfect reasons, but it's doing it. So people work from home 1 day or 2 days a week now, and you cannot go backward. Or let's say it's more difficult to go backward. So now you have a new threshold for how to move on. Some companies, some places in the world speak now about working 4 days a week
Yeah.
only. I'm not in favor of it necessarily, but I think you need to have some kind of flexibility in the work life balance. Specifically today with the technology that can monitor more the output and the outcome of it, and if it will help your business to grow, it's okay. But at the end of the day, don't care how, you just care that the business is growing. And I think technology, you asked me, make things more quantified, create a more online. We have important things after you do the working plan in sustainability is also to do the sustainability reporting. We call it the non-financial disclosure, to give the public, the different stakeholders, a good picture of how you perform your business and what are your impacts. Now, sometimes today you can do it every 2 years, and you give in November data on what happened 2 years ago. So today with technology, more and more companies can allow online indication on the performance of the different indicator in the website, etc., about pollution or about the the demographic, the statistics about of the employees. So it become more reliable in many ways, and I think it's also more and more companies, specifically the big, start to use software to run sustainability. Uh, from the biggest, from SAP and IBM, they have very huge softwares for this, to small boutique companies that offer more partial or software that allow companies to have even a one-click report. One company that I know, for example, we work called ESG Go. It's a very based on AI. Also, you once you put all the indicators, and it's performing, and it allows small companies to do it very very easily, because to have a 200 pages report is difficult. It also costs a lot of money, but if you have a small, a very easy, comfortable way, so companies will have more motivation uh, to move forward with reporting. And once you report and it's outside and waiting for a feedback from the public, so the dialogue will continue.
So, how do you see the future of corporate social responsibility evolving this digital area? To ensure also fair practices and also promoting sustainability on a global scale.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. The future is, as I mentioned, it will go more to digital tools. Uh, Digital tools on one hand, that will have less work from the, let's say, from the PR department and from the greenwashing kind of
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, to more measurable, quantified data sharing. Uh, Also, there is today more and more demand for assurance, for a third party assurance that will reduce the amount of false statements, greenwash, etc. So company need to walk the talk and talk the walk, and they will need to be very, very precise of the reporting, exactly as they do, by the way, in financial statement, because it's criminal if you are making wrong statements. And today there is, specifically in Europe, there is a litigation against greenwash. Even Danone, for example, there was like
Hmm.
last year, they came with few statements about the amount of recyclable plastic in the yogurt, and somebody, I don't remember who, what a kind of NGO organization, civil society, and there is now a court, which is not good for the reputation. It's not good for. It's only good for the lawyers. So what I thinking that this is one thing. The other thing that is going we see in the future is the amount of transparency throughout the supply chain, because today everything is global. Okay, if I drink here the glass of water, it's probably produced in a different country and distributed to this country and maybe resell later. So today, specifically in food, in chemicals, in cosmetics, in fast consuming goods, you can see exactly in fashion uh, who did it, what are the raw materials, what is the compliance for regulation in the origin, and not only in the nice shop in the Oxford Street that sell you a dream and a story. So and also the people we see, the public become more and more sophisticated, and he knows to ask the right questions. And sometimes maybe it's good to buy less, but to pay extra, but less products that will sustain more, and not to change your garderobe 4 times a year, like the fast fashion companies try to sell you very cheap, but it's not good for the environment, and it's not good for the workforce.
And sometimes it's not good also for our skin, which is
It's
the
true.
biggest organ that covers our body. And we're putting on it material and fabrics that are not really very healthy. I mean, let's be honest. Uh,
Exactly.
tell tell us, in your view, what's the most surprising trend in social sustainability that you think companies must get on board with right now?
I think it all come together, the topics that we covered. But the biggest revolution now that I can feel is the CSRD. It's the European robustic, detailed regulation about sustainability reporting. It's put into the picture another mechanism or another concept called double materiality. Before, we used to say, what are the influence of the company on the climate or on the society? But
Hmm.
now it's the double way. It's what the companies are influencing and what are they are influenced by. So they need to prepare for climate risk. Climate risk is a very big issue now in the present, but more and more in the future. It's a trend, but also it's here to stay, because humanity as a whole understands that you cannot move business as usual. Every year we have more and more global warming. You cannot use fossil fuels in the same amount. And now we call it a transition period. You cannot move in one year from fossil to renewable energy. You don't have enough, by the way, production of renewable energy. But companies need to see how they uh, make the changes. It can be a changes in the processes, the working processes, or in technology that they use, and in the energy that they use. I think that the validation of data is also becoming the more you go, you become more technological, and you become more uh, digital. You need to have really a strong statement about your data sharing. Um, I think that the supply chain, I'm saying it again, the well-being, COVID put us in the well-being revolution, that you need to take care for your employees and for the majority of your stakeholders, also the suppliers and the of course, customers. Diversity and inclusion is something that you know better than me is becoming also very strong, specifically in the Western world, but not only. But that you need to have enough flexibility in the culture to bring in people from different genders, colors, and all kind of. And by the way, the business case is that it create more and more productivity and more innovation in the company. If everybody is the same, so they think the same. But if you bring people from different perspectives, so the end result is that you have a more innovation in the company.
And this is
So
proved. It's not just a philosophy. Am I correct? That
yeah,
to
it's
have
true.
a
By the way,
diversity
we see it.
environment.
Yeah, I'm working a lot with startup companies and with technological companies, and we see that they really understand, specifically in the R&D departments, that unlike it was before, you don't need only to bring the best engineers from the best faculty, but you need to bring people from different backgrounds because they will have a better code in the end of the day when they program, and they will find out of the box, outside the from the convenience and the things that they used to do. So even if you have less genius in the team, but they are more diverse, it's better.
More
And we,
ideas and maybe
yeah, exactly,
even, yes.
exactly.
So corporate social responsibility is not anymore just a smoke screen for maintaining the status quo, but it's evolving from what I understand from you.
Yes, of
And
course.
this
Or,
is good.
like in Daniela, like in everywhere, sometimes you have people with values and people without values. So we are speaking about the mainstream, which are good people with good companies. Always you can take people or companies that will move from the past. I think that the combination of a regulation, of a litigation, of assurance, of digital presentation of data, everything together, all these vectors and the demands from the clients and from the investors, put the companies into the situation that this is the right way to go. Now, the bus has left the station.
Yeah.
I call the companies just to join the bus and not to stay behind. On top of this is mostly like sticks, but the carrots are that it's a good signal for and increase your positive reputation. It will allow you to deal with crises. I think it will have a better risk management because you will do less stupid things when you move forward. It will be easier for you to raise capital, both from we have now today about 35 trillion, not billion, dollars of AUM, assets under management of institutional investors that take into consideration more than one KPI of ESG and the sustainability. ESG, by the way, is just a nickname with an initials for environment, social, and governance, and it's very popular in the marketplace of the capital markets. And the world as a whole, we all become more transparent and more connected, interlinked to each other. So even if you are a small company in a small country and you want to sell outside, you need to implement these kind. And the best thing is that you really create a business case. Nobody is only doing it for the values or for the. That's why I started to say we are not tree huggers. We are speaking about a win-win business approach that put together doing good and doing well, and it's interlinked together.
You said good. So let me move now to the past. That's what I usually do with my guests. The second part is about the past, the present, and the future. Uh, so once upon a time, if you look back at your work with a good vision, you just said good, and I would like to know why you called it good vision, by the way, and also um, other key roles that you have covered, of course. But how do you believe the actions and strategies you adopted helped pioneering the corporate social responsibility world and maybe have influenced the evolution of businesses, practices, or corporate governance? So why good
Uh,
vision? The name, I'm curious.
as you mentioned, I worked with my mentor when I was a young professional. Was Shimon Peres. I was lucky to work. He was a Nobel Prize laureate, and he was always speaking about the vision, and the vision was part of our daily life. Sometimes he was accused by coming with too big dreams or too big ideas, but in the end of the day, many of his ideas become a reality.
Hmm.
So I wanted to take a vision, which is also a business term that describe the vision of the company. That it's the interlink between the financial results and the values performance, because vision is a holistic approach. By the way, today more and more companies stop to call it vision, they call it purpose. What is our purpose?
Yes.
But when I went to business school 30 years ago, it was always vision and mission. So the vision for me was something that is holistic enough, because I really wanted to help business to find a valuable way that will be both profitable but also put policy. Because I was a young diplomat, I wanted to, when I left his cabinet, I wanted to do things that have a meaning. I didn't want just to be a salesperson, etc. So, and the good was also something that has, if you think about it, has double meaning. It's good for the business and it's good for the planet. It's good for
Yes.
the people and it's good for the values. So it's I think it was a good choice, because I still people remember it, and I like it a lot, and it can also contain different. When I launched the company, we didn't have for example, this is my book, by the way, the 17 SDGs of the United Nations, which you
Yes.
used to be a very senior person at the United Nations. uh, but here in the SDGs, you have like 190 issues that companies can be part of, many of them, and can contribute to the humanity and to the planet in many ways. And even if not contributing, at least not harming. So that's why good is makes sense for me. But it's not the. And what was your the other question?
Well, by looking at how in the past some of your actions or strategies have helped pioneering the
Hmm.
corporate social
I think that from
responsibility
the beginning,
business.
yeah, from the beginning, this is my second book. Early, I wrote the first book. We came with an idea of transparent. We shared our IP, our intellectual property, with the public. I think many people accused me, why do you open all your methodologies, etc., to the public? I said, okay, first of all, I want to make an impact. I want that people will use my ideas and my tools, and I'm not afraid of it's exactly this. I'm not afraid that companies will, my competitors in a way, will copy paste me, because I'm always going to be two steps ahead. And
Hmm.
by the way, if they will copy me and everybody will do it, so I'm happy. I did my best. I did my role. So this is I think a way. I'm always trying to do things voluntarily. Also, I do pro bono a lot of projects. My team. I have 15 consultants in my team. I give them 10 to 20 hours a month to do volunteering work. I think it's good for the satisfaction and the motivation. By the way, it's not everybody like it, but a majority of the employees, they like it, and they are able to uh, make an impact in their communities, or in their way. And I think in the end it will come back to the company as a more motivated workforce, as people who have better ideas of how civil society is organized. It's not something you can learn about in the university. Once you go
Hmm.
and help a charity, you see many things you don't see from the business class. And I'm trying to walk the talk, giving a self example to your employees and to your colleagues, um, is the best way to change attitude, and to more than every ethical code, or more than any things. Of course, I'm not perfect, so don't make me like Teresa, the Holy
Calcutta,
Teresa.
Maria
Yeah,
Trias.
I'm not. I have I drive a car. I fly in a plane. I'm not a tree hugger, but I'm trying to do things in a good way that will go in alignment with the values I'm preaching. And I'm also doing mistakes like everybody. I'm not perfect, but I think I'm doing it now for 20 years. So I see that every year more and more people are joining the way. In the beginning, it was really, really tough. If not my wife helping me, I couldn't survive. It was unbelievable, like a new language to teach the business people. And I think it's fair to say that I'm pioneer myself. I think an entrepreneur. It was not an easy way, but once you are consistent and focused, and you will succeed. And it's a new language, and touch wood, every year it's becoming more and more popular. I don't like the word trend. I think it's a way of living or a way of doing business, because trend will always go down and come another trend, but it's really becoming part of being a good manager is implementing good sustainability and CSR strategies.
I think you could be an incredible professor at the university, sharing your knowledge, really. So let's move to the present. Just, a few words about promoting equity in business sustainability. And I would like to know if you have one, maybe, um, innovative strategy that you are already implementing to successfully promote social equity and inclusion within companies. You already gave some examples, but I wonder if you have a good practice you would like to share to ensure then there is also the long-term commitment.
Yeah, I think maybe we came with a strategy to develop social programs for the companies to align between the social cause and the business brand.
Hmm.
So once, for example, we have a company like insurance companies that deal with health insurance as their key product. So we took them into uh, partnership with health organizations, or companies that deal like a pharmaceutical company that deal with diabetes. So we made them a strategic partnership with an organization that prevent obesity, that
Hmm.
create good practice on the ground with people at risk or with youth at risk, by allowing sports facilities that so a company can see that it's good. Again, we use the term good to the business, but also to the cause and to the society. And usually, and this is the most important think, like, if you know how to think about it, usually the solution is simple and successful. You don't need 100 slides presentation of McKinsey. Just think about what's your impact, what's your product, and what's the best social cause that can be relevant. And once you find the right match, so even the most cynical managers can find also a way to be involved in this, engage in this initiative, because they understand it's very good for the employees, very good for the society, and it's very good for the branding and the reputation of the company.
So let's envision now something. We were talking about the vision, then the new way of calling it the purpose, but all of this has an impact on the future. So let's envision the future from a personal perspective. Let's imagine that you are 20 years old in that year, 2071. That is almost 50 years from now. In what kind of world would you like to be living in, Ivrin? Ivri?
Uh, First of all, I want to live in a world that is clean from pollution, but also clean from wars and conflicts. I think 99% of the people on the planet, they really want to have simple, good life with their families, to earn decently, and to get to, let's say, go back to the basic, to human values of solidarity, of mutual responsibility, that was very dominant in the before, in the past, when you have
Yeah,
small communities. You didn't have the maybe the internet, you didn't have the advertisement, but you have, if you cannot survive alone, so you need to live in a community, a structure. And I think, when if we'll go back to basics as human beings, uh, being good friends to each other, being good citizens to our communities and nations, and the nations among themselves would be good friends.
yeah.
It will be very good, and I hope that my children, that they are still young, will be able to live in a better world, because today there are some threats, both to the planet and to the society, by different from different origins. And by the way, the formal definition of sustainability is to give the future generation the ability to live in, if not in a better situation, at least not to damage the situation and the planet that we are leaving behind. So if each one of us, each individual in each company, will think about the outcome of its behavior and performance, I think we all come as a united humanity, to a better result. And this will be
You,
our vision.
you mentioned the generations to come. So allow me to ask you a quick question. I know I have kept you for a long, long conversation, but it was so intriguing. So still imagine yourself in the year 2071. Okay. And reflecting on your own experience, what personal values and actions do you believe you should prioritize today to contribute building a more sustainable and inclusive future for the generations to come tomorrow?
I think it's all come together. I mean, if you become more aware, individual is like a small company, a family is like a small company. If you be aware to the impact of your activities, both socially and environmentally, if you don't work or behave as a robot or in automatic manner, you will become better person, better family person, better citizen, better individual, and as a whole will be there. So I can answer you technically. I know not to use polluted vehicles, not to and to use the public transportation, but it's not. I don't want to stay only on the technical
Yeah.
level. I think we covered here many um, topics, but the ecosystem is really big. So I really want to say I enjoy speaking with you about these issues, and it's also, I'm still passionate about it after 20 years. So I go every morning to my desk, to my office, and I'm still happy. So I want to wish myself that I will continue to be happy about, and probably I'm happy both because I choose a good and inspiring, uh, maybe one of the most interesting and inspiring and appealing territories of business these days, because it's never only on technical and never only on financial. It's much more holistic, and I want to wish myself that I will continue to do it. And the only way I can continue to do it is that people will, that I feel that I have an impact, or my company Good Vision has an impact on the society. No, in our small efforts, we will continue to move forward with the corporate responsibility idea.
So let's wrap up. Which question would you ask yourself, and what would be the answer you give yourself to your own question?
It's a complicated one.
Yes, it is.
I think first of all, if you ask me what is my what I believe in the way you do business is take your business seriously, but not yourself. So I want to ask myself in 20 years that I will meet this concept to see that I was able to do an impact. I understand that the essence of the work is more important than myself, and I will do it openly as I always did, and sharing the information, continue to contribute to the community, personally and professionally. Uh, and I hope that once I will answer this question, did it, I will answer positively.
This is a beautiful way of ending this conversation, Ivri. I thank you so much. And actually, you almost gave a Lectio Magistralis today, as if we were at the university, but with an open heart. So thank you very much. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. As I wrap up this episode, my heartfelt gratitude to today's guest and to all of you. Join me for the next episode as we delve deeper with special guests, uncovering thought-provoking insights and actionable steps, paving the way for a brighter, inclusive, sustainable tomorrow. Thanks also to Damian Morton, music, and Maria Cortez Gagliano, social media. Don't miss out next episode on shaping the future we aspire to. Ciao, ciao!